Hello and welcome to the Beyond 20 series for globalizing your Cherwell service management system in version 9.3.1. My name is Guy Baker and I am a solutions consultant at Beyond 20. Today we'd like to talk about some of the things that you need to consider prior to globalizing your Cherwell system. First of all, not all strings can be converted using Cherwell globalization. So strings that represent team and workgroup names, for example, file paths, email addresses, logical field values, and then certain reserved keywords like system will not be translated. Second, Cherwell currently only supports single byte languages. These are languages like English, French, Spanish, German. Other languages that are double byte cultures like Japanese, Chinese, and Korean will require additional work to translate the strings. And globalization support is also currently not available for Cherwell mobile versions for the iOS and Android systems. We're going to concentrate on this video is the concept of a cultured form. In other words, each culture that you add to a globalized system will have a separate form for each form in the system. So we're going to take a look at a system that has only two cultures, English and English United States and English for the UK. But as we see, when we open up a form, like the customer internal form, each one of those cultures will have a slightly different look to it. And so if we'd like to pay attention here, so we can see here in the, we're now in the English United States form, and we see that we have no network ID is to the right of the network ID field. And then if we select the English UK form for this same one, we'll notice that that field moved down here below. Some of the things that you need to be careful of when you're creating forms for a globalized system is that because when you place something on the form in one language, it gets placed there in the other languages. However, if you make modifications to that placement of that item, it does not carry forward to the other items. So you can see if the original item was dropped in this location and then was subsequently moved, it didn't get moved in the other forms. So there is some editing that has to be done in each one of the cultured forms once you've created a form or once you've added a culture to the system. The other thing we'd like to note is that there are some very basic concepts that you'll want to follow or basic practices that you might follow. So if you don't want to have to do a lot of editing between cultures, we highly recommend that you place your labels vertically. And now in this version of, I believe it's in version 9.2 and above, Cherwell actually makes it so that you can select how you want labels to be placed when you drop a field onto a form. So we recommend that you set that to the control label placement is vertical, so it always appears above the field and not to the side of the field. But what happens when the label is off to the left of the field and the language is set to a different language, that label will grow in size. And so if you don't have it right justified, it will bleed over into the actual field. And then if you had to place something to the left of it, it would bleed into that. So we don't want to have a lot of additional work by having to go in to edit each one of the cultured forms. Go ahead and just use this simple practice of placing your labels above the fields. And then if you have an icon that you'd like to place next to the field, you can just simply place that to the left of the field as well. And this also will accommodate the fact that things will not bleed into that icon. So those are the things you need to consider before you start your globalization of your system. In our next video, we will show you the basic process of adding globalization to your Cherwell system.